All right, music lovers, get ready for another Behind the Rhythm. We are diving deep into the world of MrGeorge.
This up-and-coming artist who's really making waves in the electronic music scene.
Yeah, he is.
It's exciting,
That he is.
to see how he's blending those classic 80s synth sounds with a modern twist.
Right.
His new single, Dancing Through the Night,
Oh, yeah.
really exemplifies this.
So heard it.
It dropped on February 28th, and it's available on all the major platforms.
Yeah, our research team is super excited about this one.
Yeah.
They say it's got this hypnotic vibe, but what's really got me intrigued is the whole electronic music with soul thing.
Right.
What does that even mean in the context of MrGeorge's sound?
That's a good question. A lot of people associate electronic music with a colder, more mechanical feel.
Yeah.
But MrGeorge is bringing in an emotional depth.
Okay.
Think about the warmth of classic soul vocals, that raw human element. He's weaving that into the electronic fabric, creating something that feels both nostalgic and fresh.
Okay, I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
But how is he actually doing that?
Yeah.
What are some specific musical choices he's making to achieve this soulful vibe?
If you listen closely to Dancing Through the Night, you'll hear these lush, layered synth pads that create a sense of warmth and texture. It's almost like he's using the synths to emulate the sound of a string section or a choir.
Oh, wow.
Adding this layer of emotion that you wouldn't typically hear in a straight-up EDM track.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
So he's using those classic 80s sounds, but in a way that evokes a sense of human connection,
Right.
of vulnerability even.
It's not just about the beats and drops.
Right.
It's about something deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a real art to that.
There is.
It's easy to fall into the trap of simply replicating 80s sounds without adding anything new to the mix.
Exactly.
But MrGeorge's doing something different.
He is.
He's taking those familiar elements and weaving them into something that feels contemporary, something that speaks to a modern audience. And it's resonating.
It is.
I mean, there's already a buzz building around him. And it's not just in the underground scene.
It's not, no.
Critics are taking notice, too.
They are.
What do you think it is about his music that's capturing people's attention?
I think it's that unique blend of nostalgia and innovation.
Okay.
On one hand, he's tapping into this collective memory of the 80s, a time when electronic music was really starting to take off.
Right.
But he's not just rehashing the past.
Right.
He's taking those influences and pushing them forward, creating something that feels both familiar and exciting.
Okay, so there's this sonic time travel element happening.
Yeah.
But the Hype Dish article also mentioned that Dancing Through the Night tells a story about an intense and mystical dance night.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? What kind of story are we talking about here?
I think it's more about evoking a feeling, a vibe, rather than telling a literal story.
Right.
Imagine being on a dance floor, lost in the music, surrounded by people who are all feeling that same energy. It's about that sense of connection, of losing yourself in the moment.
So it's not like a traditional narrative with characters and a plot.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's more about creating a sonic world that the listener can step into and experience for themselves.
Okay.
The article highlighted MrGeorge's use of powerful lyrics and captivating melodies, which suggests he's crafting a mood, an atmosphere, rather than a linear story.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So he's using music to create an immersive experience.
Exactly.
And going back to that electronic music with soul concept, is there something about the music of the 80s that lends itself to this kind of emotional depth?
It's interesting you say that the 80s was a decade of big emotions, big sounds, and a real sense of experimentation. Artists weren't afraid to push boundaries, to explore new sonic territories.
Yeah.
And I think that spirit is something that MrGeorge is tapping into.
It was a time of cultural shift too, right? A lot was happening politically and socially.
Yeah.
And that energy was reflected in the music.
Absolutely. And I think there are parallels to what's happening today. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world, a lot of change happening rapidly.
Right.
And music can be a powerful way to process those emotions, to find a sense of community and shared experience.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the sounds themselves, it's about what those sounds represent.
Right.
They can tap into deeper cultural and emotional currents.
Yeah, yeah.
But how is he doing it differently? What is the MrGeorge twist that sets him apart?
Well, he's not just throwing in a few 80s synth sounds for nostalgia's sake.
Okay.
He's really thinking about how to integrate them into his own unique style. For instance, he might sample a classic drum machine from the 80s and then layer it with modern crap-inspired beats.
Oh, cool.
Or he might use a vintage synthesizer.
Yeah.
But process it through contemporary software to give it a more cutting-edge feel.
It's like he's building a sonic bridge between two different eras.
Exactly.
So we've got this blend of retro sounds, modern production, and a focus on creating an immersive experience.
Right.
It's no wonder people are excited about him.
It's not, yeah.
But the big question is, does he have staying power?
Right.
Is this just a fleeting moment of hype?
Yeah.
Or is he building something that will last?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
There are a lot of talented artists out there, but very few manage to achieve lasting success.
So what sets those artists apart? Is it just talent, or is there more to it?
Talent is obviously crucial, but it's not enough on its own.
Right.
You need vision, a clear sense of who you are as an artist and what you want to say.
Okay.
And you need the dedication and drive to keep pushing forward even when things get tough.
So it's about more than just making catchy tunes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's about building a world around your music, a community of fans who connect with your vision.
Right.
It's about creating something that resonates on a deeper level.
And how do you think MrGeorge measures up in that regard? Does he have that it factor, that special something that could propel him to the top?
It's hard to say for sure, but he's certainly showing a lot of promise.
Yeah.
He's got a strong aesthetic, a clear sense of direction, and he's not afraid to take risks. That's a recipe for something special.
And speaking of risks,
yeah,
I'm curious about his decision to lean so heavily into the 80s sound.
Right.
It's a bold move, especially in a genre that's constantly chasing the next big thing.
It is.
Do you think it could backfire? Or is nostalgia a powerful enough force to carry him through?
Nostalgia can be a double-edged sword.
Okay.
Done well, it can evoke a sense of comfort and familiarity, drawing listeners in. But if it feels too derivative, too much like a rehash of the past, it can quickly lose its appeal.
So the key is to strike a balance.
Yeah.
Use those familiar elements as a springboard for something new and exciting.
Exactly. And that's where MrGeorge's talent really shines. He's not just replicating the 80s, he's reinterpreting them. He's taking those classic sounds and weaving them into something that feels fresh and modern.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the sonic landscape, but what about the emotional impact?
Right.
The article mentioned that his music has soul.
Yeah.
Can you break that down for us? What specific emotions are we talking about?
When I hear soul in the context of MrGeorge's music, I think about a feeling of longing, a sense of yearning for something just out of reach.
Okay.
There's a vulnerability in his music, a raw honesty that cuts through the electronic sheen.
It's like he's inviting us into his inner world.
Yeah.
Sharing his own experiences of heartbreak, joy, and everything in between.
Precisely. And that's what sets him apart from a lot of other electronic artists. He's not afraid to be emotionally open, to let his guard down. And that rawness, that authenticity is what connects with listeners on a deeper level.
So it's not just about dancing.
Yeah.
It's about feeling.
Yeah.
It's about using music as a way to explore the complexities of the human experience.
Absolutely. And I think that's why people are drawn to his music. It's more than just a sonic experience. It's an emotional journey. It's a chance to connect with something bigger than themselves.
And you know what?
Yeah.
I think that's something that's been missing from a lot of electronic music lately.
Yeah.
It's become so focused on the technical aspects, the drops, the beats per minute, that it's lost touch with its soul.
I agree. It's become almost formulaic in some ways.
Right.
But MrGeorge is reminding us that electronic music can be so much more than that.
Right.
It can be a powerful tool for expression, for exploring the depths of human emotion.
And that's something to celebrate.
Yeah.
So we've got this amazing blend of nostalgia, innovation, emotional depth, and technical prowess.
Yeah.
It sounds like MrGeorge is ticking all the boxes.
He is.
But let's dive a little deeper into the specific techniques he's using to create this unique sound. The article mentioned that he's blending 80s sounds with modern production. Can you give us some concrete examples?
Yeah.
What are some of the tools and techniques he's using to bridge that gap?
One technique that immediately jumps out is his use of gated reverb. It's a classic 80s effect that creates this big, cavernous sound. Think about Phil Collins's In the Air Tonight, that iconic drum fill.
Oh, yeah.
That's gated reverb. MrGeorge is taking that effect and applying it to modern drum sounds.
Okay.
Creating this interesting juxtaposition of old and new.
Ah, so he's using a retro effect on a modern sound? That's clever.
Yeah.
And what about the synths? We talked about the lush pads earlier, but are there any other ways he's using synths to create that signature 80s vibe?
Definitely. He's incorporating a lot of arpeggiators, which were hugely popular in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
It's a technique where you program a sequence of notes to repeat over and over, creating this hypnotic, pulsating effect.
Uh-huh.
Listen to Dancing Through the Night, and you'll hear those arpeggiated synths weaving in and out of the mix, adding this layer of texture and movement.
So he's blending these classic techniques with contemporary production methods.
Right.
It's like he's creating a sonic tapestry with threads from different eras interwoven to create something entirely new.
That's a great way to put it. And it's not just about the technical side of things.
Right.
He's also got a great ear for melody. His songs are catchy, but they're also complex and nuanced.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on beneath the surface.
You know, we've been focusing a lot on Dancing Through the Night.
Yeah.
But the article mentioned that this is just a taste of what's to come.
Right.
He's apparently working on a full-length album.
Yeah.
What are your expectations for that?
Wow.
Do you think he'll be able to maintain this level of quality and creativity over a longer format?
That's always the challenge for any artist, isn't it?
It is.
To translate the energy of a single into a cohesive body of work.
Right.
But I have faith in MrGeorge.
Yeah.
He's shown a remarkable ability to blend genres and push boundaries.
Right.
I'm confident he'll deliver something special.
I'm excited to hear it.
Me too.
But in the meantime, let's get back to Dancing Through the Night.
Okay.
We talked about the music, the production, the emotions, but what about the lyrics? What story is he trying to tell with this song?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a linear narrative in the traditional sense.
Okay.
It's more about capturing a feeling, a mood. The lyrics are evocative, almost impressionistic. They paint a picture of a night filled with longing, desire, and the search for connection.
So it's about that feeling of being lost in the music, surrendering to the rhythm.
Yeah.
And finding a moment of transcendence on the dance floor.
Exactly. And I think the lyrics are open to interpretation.
Okay.
Each listener can bring their own experiences and emotions to the song and find their own meaning in it.
That's the beauty of music, isn't it?
It is.
It's a shared experience, but it's also deeply personal.
Yeah.
And I think MrGeorge understands that. He's creating music that invites us to connect with our own emotions, to find ourselves in the rhythm.
And that's a powerful thing.
It is.
In a world that can feel increasingly disconnected, music can be a bridge, a way to find common ground and shared humanity.
Well said. So we've covered a lot of ground in this episode.
We have.
We've talked about MrGeorge's unique blend of 80s influences and modern production, his ability to infuse electronic music with soul, and his talent for crafting immersive sonic experiences.
Right.
But we haven't talked much about his background.
No, we haven't.
Do we know anything about his influences, his musical journey? Where did this all begin?
Unfortunately, the article didn't delve into his personal history too deeply.
Oh, really?
But I think that air of mystery adds to his allure.
Yeah.
It allows listeners to project their own interpretations onto his music, to fill in the blanks with their own imaginations.
That's true. Sometimes it's good to leave some things unsaid to let the music speak for itself.
It is.
But I am curious to know more about his creative process.
Yeah.
What inspires him? What kind of environment does he create when he's making music?
Well, based on what we've heard so far, I imagine his studio is a fascinating blend of old and new vintage synthesizers, alongside cutting-edge software analog warmth meeting digital precision.
It's like a sonic laboratory.
Yeah.
Where he's experimenting with sound, pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And that's what makes him so exciting as an artist. He's not afraid to take risks, to explore uncharted territory, and that sense of adventure is infectious. It draws you in and makes you want to follow him on his journey.
I'm definitely on board for the ride.
Me too.
And for our listeners out there, I encourage you to hop on as well. Go check out Dancing Through the Night and get ready to be transported to a world of sonic wonder.
It's a journey you won't soon forget. MrGeorge is a true original, a visionary artist who's pushing the boundaries of electronic music. And I have a feeling this is just the beginning of a very exciting career.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So, it's amazing how we can get so caught up in analyzing music.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's all about how it makes us feel.
That's the real test, isn't it? Does it move you?
Yeah. Does it make you want to dance, laugh, cry? Music is a powerful language.
It is. And with Dancing Through the Night, I feel like MrGeorge is tapping into something universal. That feeling of letting go, losing yourself in the music and the movement.
It's like he's bottled that pure joy.
Yeah.
That sense of abandon you get when you're on a packed dance floor, surrounded by good vibes.
Oh, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. And you know what else I appreciate about this song?
What's that?
There's a hint of melancholy in there, too.
Yeah.
Like a bittersweet memory of a night that you never want to end.
Exactly. It's not just pure euphoria. It's got layers.
It does.
It makes you reflect on those fleeting moments of bliss and how precious they are.
It's like he's saying, embrace the moment. Enjoy the ride because it won't last forever. That kind of depth, that ability to transport the listener to another place emotionally is what makes a truly great artist.
And that's what makes me so excited about MrGeorge's future.
Yeah.
He's already shown so much depth and range in just this one single. I can't wait to see what he does next. Me too. This feels like just the tip of the iceberg. I have a feeling we'll be talking about him for years to come.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's got that special something.
He does.
That star quality.
Yeah.
That sets him apart.
So for those of you who haven't already, go check out Dancing Through the Night. It's a sonic journey that will take you back to the future and leave you wanting more. This episode of Behind the Rhythm was brought to you by Ant Taylor for the Bayplay Radio and Sonic Gumbo Radio Network. Thank you for joining us for this Artist Spotlight. Be sure to explore more from our guest on all streaming platforms. As always, have fun, be kind, and be well. Please come back again for another exciting episode. Until next time, we're out.